I don't know if you had the opportunity, whether your mother kept a baby book on you, but my mom did keep one on me. And I've gone back and looked at it a few times over the years. And one of the things that she noted, I think when I was about 4 or 5 years old, she said, he doesn't seem to have leadership skills. And if you look at it from if you just look straight up and say, well, what about Randy? He's normal height, he's skinny kid, still pretty skinny today, doesn't have that charisma just bouncing off of him. Would this guy ever become a leader? Well, without bragging, I've led a lot of things. I've led organizations, I've led businesses, I've led political event, a political what would you call it? I got involved in politics and I started an organization that grew to 500 members, and people were asking me and suggesting I should go into politics. So somewhere along the line, I have led, and it just took extra work because I wasn't exactly born to the role, according to my mom. But I've also done a tremendous amount of reading about leadership, done a tremendous amount of study of leadership roles and who were the great leaders and what makes them great. And so what I thought I'd do today is I'm going to do this in terms of Elon Musk, because I've talked and read and written a tremendous amount about Elon and his leadership skills, but I've kind of reorganized things for this particular show in terms of what does it take to really be just a leader, and this might be useful to you as an individual. Maybe you would like to be more of a leader, and so some of this stuff might impact you. Maybe you know somebody that's kind of moving towards leadership, and you could share this with them as a tutorial. Because you know what? I went and did some additional research today just before I started, and the stuff online is pathetic. It's mostly from business schools. And what do business schools know about leadership? They could ask maybe the president of some of those business schools and maybe get an idea. But anyway, here we go. I'm going to go down this fairly fast, even though I could do this for about 2 hours. It may go a little long, but it's not going to be 2 hours. And then you let me know below. What do you think about what I've said? Do you think it's right? Do you think it's wrong? And maybe you'd apply this to the presidential contest as well. I think that would be fair. So let's take a look, and we'll start with number one. And by far, in my opinion, it's the top. Nothing else matters. And that is, you have to be a visionary if you're going to be a leader. Leaders can, if you want to lead a small organization, 4, 5, 6, 10 people, yeah, you don't have to be a visionary. You can just do a really good job of some kind of skill and people might fall in behind you. But if you're going to lead anything bigger than that, you need to be a visionary. You need to be curious enough about the world that you're in to go out and research it to death, to get to the place where you are an expert in your field, way beyond anybody else's expertise that you know, and then use that expertise, that curiosity that you have, be creative about the whole thing, and then go, okay, how can I change my world? How can I make whatever it is that I'm doing? How can I make my water bottles better? How can I make my bicycle tire liners better? How can I make my distributorship better? How can I make my import company better? And that vision is really what is all about when it comes to leading, because guess what? In order to be a leader, somebody has to follow you. That's the number one definition of leadership, is anybody following you. Do you have to pay them to follow you? Or can you get them to follow you even in tough situations where maybe they're even underpaid or underappreciated, but they really want to be part of your vision? And then part of that, in terms of being a visionary, if you're going to be a visionary, you have to have a lot of self-awareness. You have to know what you're good at, what you're not good at. Be able to understand what it is that you need on your team to fill in those blanks, and not be afraid of the fact that you're not very good at something, and find folks that are to fill in that particular area. And then because you're so self-aware, because you know who you are, what you're capable of, you're not overselling or underselling yourself, then that'll give you amazing self-confidence. Now let's look at Elon Musk really quickly. You've probably been doing this in your head, I hope, all along, but his curiosity is unparalleled. His creativity, he's always coming with brand new, completely different ideas. Therefore, he becomes this amazing visionary. When you are so, like my vision has always been, for the moon, and then you hope you get halfway to the moon. So his is for Mars, and might even make it. Apparently, he's going to get there. But the reality is you have to have a lot of self-awareness and self-confidence to be able to shoot for those really big things. But it's okay if you don't shoot for those really big things, but shoot for what it is that you are capable of getting to, but shoot really high. That self-awareness, that self-confidence is part of how you make a decision about just how high you're going to shoot. Number two, if you have that package, then it's really important to have communication skills. Really have to be able to communicate with all of the stakeholders. You got lots of stakeholders. You got the people that you're going to try to get to contribute money to your cause. You've got the people that are going to buy from you. You got the people who are going to go to work for you. You've got the people that you're going to buy from that may have limited resources. They can only take on so many people in terms of how many they're going to sell to, and theirs is the best, and you want it. Okay, and so there's all these different stakeholders. In particular, people think of the customer, but it's way beyond the customer. And in politics, you'd be talking about the voter, but it goes way beyond the voter. What do you have to have if you're going to be a visionary? What do you got to communicate? Who has to be really excited about your vision? Oh yeah, the people that are going to donate, the people that are going to work for you doing the field work, the people that are going to tell others about you, the people that are going to write about you, et cetera, et cetera. All these people, you need to be able to communicate the vision to them. Next, you need to be able to especially communicate all of this to your top executives, and you have to have great communication skills from you to the executives, great listening skills with regard to listening to those executives, and then a great mastermind environment where everybody is getting to really input with regard to that top executive group. And then you train that for them to be able to go and do it again. You are hiring other leaders who are then going to be capable of leading the next group down. And then finally, this communication has to be an ongoing process. This is a critical part of it. You've got to be able to communicate the successes. You've got to be able to communicate the failures. You've got to be able to communicate the things that are happening that need to be changed and why they need to be changed. What are the mid-course corrections that need to be taken? And when is it necessary to put, a huge new additional effort into something? When is it time to go after a new whole category or a whole new thing? And this is true of, again, in the presidential race. You've got all these people. You need to communicate what's happening now on the ground so that you can make these mid-course corrections and whatnot. All right, number three, you need to inspire the stakeholders. Now, how do you inspire stakeholders? Well, one is by integrity. Okay, by doing what you're saying you're going to do. Yeah, integrity can mean, are you sleeping around, or are you doing these nasty, horrible things that some of the politicians do? And Elon Musk certainly has his share of that. Okay, but that's not what I'm talking about when I'm talking about integrity. Yeah, you could, as a Christian, I can tell you, I'm going to look at those things and ask the question, okay, how much integrity can they have over here if they're doing the stupid stuff over there? But sometimes you have to be able to put these things in boxes. So what is the most important integrity in a leader? If you want to put that stuff to the side for a minute, well, it's going to be, do they do what they say they're going to do? And that's what Musk does, and Trump too. If you look back and you look at what he said he was going to do the last time around, and he did it. If you look at the execution would be the next thing. It's not just doing what you're saying you're going to do, but executing well. Really actually getting the job fully done. And Elon, again, just hits that one completely out of the park. Now, what's the other way of inspiring your stakeholders besides just doing the integrity, doing what you're saying you're going to do, and then executing extremely well? Having amazing courage, being the one who's going to go into battle first, put your name on the product, put your abilities, put it right out there. You are the one that's going to take the first bullet. You're also going to be the one that is going to sleep on the factory floor. You're going to be the one that is going to show courage in every single situation. You're going to be the one who burns the boats. Do you understand the burns the boats? Look it up. Say, what does burn the boats mean? Okay, so that's how you inspire your stakeholders, is by doing those kinds of things. If you don't do those kind of things, then people are going to they're going to lose confidence when the first problem comes up. They're going to be starting to bail on you, or they're going to be kicking back and not doing their job as competently, as capably. They're not going to be putting in the effort. They're not going to be second behind you, willing to take the bullet. All right, number 4 is resilience. Huge. This is huge. You can talk about all kinds of people that have great ideas and even have great communication skills and have great vision, and they come into the game and they give up. They run into some barriers, they run into some walls, they run into mountains, they run into streams, they run into a snowstorm, whatever they run into, and they quit. Or they run into it and they slow way down, and then they just don't have the ability to get back up on the horse. So resilience means you're going to try another way. Whatever hits you, you're going to try another way. You're going to go over, under, around, or through is the way I like to say it. Whatever that barrier is, you're going to knock it down or you're going to go around it. You're going to work harder than anyone else. Everybody in your team is going to believe you're willing to get your hands dirty. You're willing to do whatever's necessary to get the job done, and you're going to run faster and work harder than anybody else in the organization. And then you're going to keep going when everybody else quits. You're going to, you can be exhausted. It's okay. You still have to keep on keeping on. Number 5 is analytical. You're going to want people that are leaders need to be analytical. And that starts with fast decision-making. Elon talks about fast iterations. Elon talks about failing fast, failing up. You got to be okay to make mistakes. You got to be okay to own your mistakes and then move on. You need to be accountable. You need to be able to look at the numbers and understand what the numbers mean and then make the changes that are necessary. You need to be humble enough to ask questions. You need to be humble enough to dig deeper when you don't have a full understanding. And lots of people just don't have that humility. Well, Elon has that humility. He loves to ask those questions. He loves to get people around him that are more knowledgeable than him and then dig to find out what he doesn't know. He's willing to read massive amounts of information in order to become more informed on the subject. Now, in our particular presidential race right now, Trump does not have a reputation for reading a lot, but he has a huge reputation for asking everybody around him for advice and direction on every single thing that he's working on. He didn't build those buildings without learning how to do it. Okay. All right. So you need to be, and then you have to understand how to read the results and recalibrate. People who try to run businesses and don't understand financial statements, don't understand how to read sales analysis, it's just ridiculous. And then you have to be able to read them, you have to be able to understand them, and you have to be able to figure out what it is that you need to do to recalibrate when things aren't going the way that you expected or planned. Number 6, you have to understand your customer. You have to listen. You have to listen and listen and listen. You have to pay very close attention to what you're cut. So, in my business and manufacturing, we had distributors, we had mass marketers, we had retailers underneath the distributors, the wholesalers sold to the dealers, and then the dealers sold to the customers, or the mass marketers sold to the customers. And then you had the end user type customers in the ad specialty business or in government where you're selling directly to the government for their purposes. You have to listen to those customers. You have to be able to hear what it is that they really need. Not only what does the customer need, what does that buyer need? How is he going to prove that he made a good decision? And then what about the salesman who's selling from the wholesaler to the dealer? What does he need? What do I need to provide him with? I have to listen and hear what he needs in order to get the product sold from wholesale to retail. What does the retail salesperson need? What does that small business owner need in order to be able to sell that product through? And that happens in every other of those industries I talked about in terms of communicating downstream and listening to make sure that you're giving them all the tools and everything that they need in order to be successful. And then number 7 is delegation. This is the last one. Ronald Reagan said, hire the best. Pay whatever you need to have the absolute best people that you can absolutely have, and then trust them to do their job. Maybe that doesn't need any more explanation. But one of the biggest things I've seen in my years of helping other people to run their businesses through my consulting business, through the books that I've written, is that the real failure, even on the very smallest businesses, is they just don't know how to delegate. They don't know how to hire. They don't know how to fire. They don't know how to manage others. They're afraid to delegate because they think they can just do it faster and better than anybody else. And so since they don't delegate, at some point, they just cannot grow any further. Or if they do grow any further, they have the people under them are not productive. They're not effective. I've seen this over and over again. It happens when you get up to the 100 employee level. There's another level where you have to be able to delegate to to really solid leaders when you're at the 500, 1,000 employee level. And these are where companies fail, is where they don't hire the best, where they don't trust the people that they hire, and where they don't delegate. Well, we've seen with Elon, he now has, I think, between all the companies, I don't know, 160, 180,000 employees. He obviously has been delegating extremely well. And of course, you can see this also where Trump has had obviously thousands, tens and hundreds of thousands, millions of people working under him as president, but also with his other companies previously. We don't see any evidence of that on the other side. All right, well, I thought I would bring that to today. We will have another program, as always, the Sunday night program, where we will talk about what's going to be breaking later this week financially. We'll also talk about any Tesla news that might have happened over the last 24 hours. Yeah, we'll be doing that in just a little while, probably come out about 5:30 California time. Look for that one. That one, almost most weeks, that is one of the best programs in terms of viewership. Because why? Well, we want to be able to have a little understanding ahead of time of what might happen with the market and with Tesla stock in particular. All right, that's all I got for you right now. I hope that was useful. Let me know in the comments below if it was helpful at all in terms of understanding Elon, in terms of maybe helping you with leadership issues, in terms of maybe something you could pass on to somebody else on the question of leadership. It's been great talking to you.